What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space, and today on trailer review and reaction, I'm going to be watching a movie trailer of an upcoming film. That's right, and this movie is going to be Resident Evil Retribution 3D. This is the official teaser trailer, and it says opens 9/14. Alright, so let's begin. I'm going to play this particular trailer, and I have never seen this before. This is my first time. Appropriate audiences. Oh, snap! In another world. What is it? What? A PS Vita? What the heck? Why? What's going on? Is this a movie or what? Why do they have a PS Vita commercial? Get off my face, man! Talk about product placement. Okay, now we have some... Oh my gosh. Alice. Oh, she's packing heat. She's got a bunch of, like, weapons. This fall. Oh, there's a monster chasing a car. She's got a bunch of, like, weapons, man. And she looks like she's a complete, like, military covert assassin. Oh, there was a girl. She had like a red dress. It looked like that Ada Wong or whatever her name is. A bunch of zombies. Resident Evil Retribution 3D. Fall 2012 in 3D. And it just showed like the final image was a image of Earth with some parts of looks like North America just completely engulfed in flames. And that's it. It's a really, really short teaser trailer. A minute and 18 seconds. It's very, very short, and oh man, I don't know what to make of that. It showed the main character played by, oh, what's her name again? She's very famous now, or pseudo-famous. She's kind of became a sci-fi chick now. Let's discuss this trailer. Okay. Now here's my experience with the Resident Evil movies. First of all, I like it. I like the Resident Evil films, despite what many people think. I enjoyed them from the beginning, from the first one. I remember watching the first Resident Evil movie in theaters. I dug it, you know. It was a zombie film at its core, but it also had a sci-fi, you know, kind of military thing where these people were just trying to survive in this facility. Oh man, that was such a long time ago. I can't believe how long ago the first one was. I mean, that was a while ago. And it stars... Who is the name of that actress? I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna cheat. Because I'm trying to, like, remember her name through memory. Starring... Because I remember I saw her first in, like, The Fifth Element. That was kind of one of her earlier films. Yes, there you go. Mila Jovovich, or whatever her name is. I'm not a big fan of her in particular. Like, I don't care. Like, if they changed the main character and got rid of her, the actress, and the character, Alice or whatever her name is, and replace it with somebody else, like, you know, Leon or any of these other Resident Evil characters, that'd be fine with me, you know. I really wouldn't care. As long as it's Resident Evil. As long as the zombies are there, and there's some kind of conflict, and some kind of sci-fi umbrella corporation conspiracy thing going on, I'm all for it. Enjoyed the first movie. I really dug the army chick. You know, that female, you know, that Latina girl. She was kind of hot. You know, she turned into she became a zombie at the end. But the first one was good. It wasn't incredibly amazing. You know, it wasn't like a revolutionary zombie film, but it kind of reminded me of like it was like a zombie film that was sort of the sci-fi, kind of neo-sci-fi action type of movie that was kind of like an equal to Blade or what's that? Underworld. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of have this main character, and she's like flipping around, she's jumping around, she's kind of she's very action-oriented. You know, she's very it's an action-oriented film. The second movie, which was Resident Evil, I believe. What was it? The second one was... Apocalypse, right? So Resident Evil Apocalypse, and it was an even bigger film, I think. I felt like the bad guy that was a villain, you know, a main kind of villain that felt more powerful. And the zombies kind of took a step back. You know, the zombies were still there, but they were more... It wasn't about the zombies this time. It was more about this actual monster that they had to destroy. And I actually enjoyed Apocalypse. I actually liked it because it was a very action-packed. You know, there was a lot of explosions and, you know, fight scenes and, you know, a lot of flashy, cool things that action scenes that I really dug. I think at this point, you know, the movie was initially criticized by not having much to do with the video games. Like, it just kind of steered away, you know, in terms of characters and in terms of the type of presentation that was Resident Evil the movie. It was different from the video games. Well, let's talk about the video games in comparison to the movies. I'm not one of these guys that kind of... Because I got into the Resident Evil games a little bit late. So I got into the movies first and then played the games later. And the two are kind of two different animals. Like in the films, it was more action-packed, action-oriented. And the cinematography and the way it was shot was more about a traditional action type of movie. The games are more survival horror. So it's more about strategic stuff. It's slower paced, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say scary, it's more about thrilling suspense kind of thing where the characters, you have to be careful. It's more about that creepy feeling of being inside a room, for example. You enter a room, you enter an area, and you're locked in that room for a temporary period of time, and then you get attacked by zombies, and it's more creepy than anything. It's more of a creepy feeling kind of game. And it's a survival horror. You gotta use everything you have in your arsenal. So I think the pacing, the feeling of the video games is different from the Resident Evil movies. I think though in later games, like in RE4, that's when it started to change, and then Resident Evil 4 and beyond, Resident Evil 5 and so on, it became more about an action type of movie kind of feeling. And so it started to feel a little bit like the films, actually. So it's kind of interesting that way. I think that, obviously, the video games are more... That's the core source of you know, that's the source material. So, much respect to the video games, but I think that the movies, they did a pretty good job, in my opinion, because they were action-packed. I was entertained by the first two films. I was even entertained by the third movie. Let's talk about it. Resident Evil Extinction. I like Resident Evil Extinction. I enjoyed it, you know what I'm saying? I dug it. I thought it was entertaining, just like the previous two. It wasn't as good as the second one. I think that the second one, because they included all these other characters, and I think Jill, Valentine, or whatever, she made an appearance in the second game, in the second movie, in Apocalypse, and then in Extinction, the third movie, it was more about like her traveling, and she went into this desert area, and they're kind of just exploring, you know, the outside world kind of thing. And, you know, they were battling these zombies and these hordes of zombies and exploding trucks and stuff like that. And they kind of delved deeper into the conspiracy, you know, the underground conspiracy behind it. Didn't really answer too much for me, though. I just kind of forgot the entire, you know, just kind of the core storyline, like who is the actual villain, and, you know, I kind of forgot about that whole thing. It didn't really stuck out too much for me. It didn't leave a lasting impression. It was more about the action scenes than anything, than just, you know, this glorified zombie movie with a lot of action scenes and explosions. And the main character is this, you know, really strong female lead role, and she's like kicking everybody's butt. So the first three movies I enjoyed. You know, regardless of what people think, I actually have the animated movie, you know, the CG movie. I haven't watched it yet. Forgetting what it's called. It's Resident Evil. It's like a CGI movie. I got it on DVD. I haven't seen it to this day. I've had it for like a year. And I haven't seen Afterlife, which is, it came out, I think it was last year, on 3D. I haven't seen Afterlife. Didn't really want to. Didn't care, you know. But this one, I mean... This new installment looks I don't know. I mean, my care level isn't it. The trailer for this movie doesn't make me want to watch this one either. Retribution 3D. It just feels like Mila Jovovich has kind of she's become comfortable in making these movies again and again and again. It's kind of like the Underworld movies where that girl, you know, she plays the same vampire character, and she kind of reprises her role in every movie. And it's just kind of a continuation. It's like an ongoing series of films, but I don't know. My care level isn't as strong as it maybe used to be. I think because maybe in recent years I've kind of stayed away from Capcom games in general and just Capcom franchises, like Resident Evil 5, and then, you know, they released a gold edition, and it just kind of gotten away from that whole Capcom, like Capcom games in general. I mean, I'd rather see like a mainstream Dead Space movie. I know they came out with Dead Space. They came out like a film, but I've never seen that one. You know, I think it's an animated film, but they should really like try and consider making a real like worldwide release, national release, a Hollywood type of Dead Space film. I think it'd be kind of cool, you know, to see Isaac, and you know, because I think that as great as Resident Evil have been, I think that Dead Space has sort of replaced Resident Evil. You know, they kind of one-upped Resident Evil in terms of being the best survival horror type of games. You know, I really enjoy Dead Space. I think it's amazing what, you know, EA and whoever developed, who's you know, the geniuses behind Dead Space. I know that it's just a Resident Evil ripoff. Like, obviously, without Resident Evil 4, you wouldn't have a Dead Space at all. You know, they borrowed a lot. It pretty much stole the gameplay from Resident Evil 4. But I think that, not to go too far into this Dead Space versus Resident Evil 4 thing, but I think that Dead Space overall I like it better. I like the environment better. It's in outer space. It's alien zombies, and I just like it. I just prefer that environment better. I think that in Resident Evil, the video games, it's become... It's always about, like, you're always in this area on Earth, and it's always like an outbreak or something like that, and it's always some kind of zombie / wannabe zombie kind of thing, and I don't know, after a while it just gets kind of, it starts to feel the same after a while. But going back to the movies, Retribution, this trailer doesn't make me feel excited at all. I mean, they barely showed anything. They had this horrible product placement at the beginning. What was the deal with the PS Vita and all these other product placement? It was like a commercial right at the beginning of the trailer. What they were showing, like smartphones, and it was just, I thought it was nonsense. You know, what the heck was that? And then they barely showed anything regarding like the storyline. Like, what's this going to be about? I don't know. They showed Ada Wong, you know, Ada Wong, I mean, you know, she's one of the characters from RE4. I don't care anymore, you know, I gotta be honest. I'm not excited for it. I think that Resident Evil the franchise itself is past its prime. You know, it's come and gone. It was a great franchise. It was one of the best survival horror / zombie franchises, especially in video games where, you know, it's kind of been ripped off, and, you know, other games have tried to emulate it, like Cold Fear and stuff like that. But I think that if they're going to make a movie, they got to include new characters, you know, make it about Leon, for example. He's a really popular character. Why not make a movie where Leon is the main character? Instead of Mila Jovovich, always the same, you know, the same female protagonist, but it's always her, and it's always about her. It's not like they made a game that had, you know, whatever, Mila Jovovich, Alice or whatever. You know, it's not like she's, you know, a character. It's not like she's a featured character. At least to my knowledge, I don't remember ever playing a Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich, that character, in there. So I don't know. I mean, again, like the first 3 movies, I enjoyed, action-packed, action-oriented, pretty good zombie, you know, alternative to the typical traditional zombie films like you know, the Dead series, the Dead type of movies where it's, you know, it's really crazy, but at the same time, I mean, we need something a little bit different. So I think that's it for my little review reaction to the trailer of RE Retribution 3D. It is coming out 9/14. Well, you know, it is what it is. Let me know what you thought of this particular trailer. Well, you know, if you're excited about it, if you want to watch it, let me know what you thought about it. And that's it for this episode of The Review Space. So until next time, ciao.